Hello everyone, welcome to the definitive video about the Van Hemert system, which is my own personal fretboard visualization system. It's the way I look at the guitar neck. And I made an earlier video about it, but it's a little bit of a convoluted video. I talk about Cage, I talk about other systems and comparing them. And I just want to make a short video in which I explain the system, the skills that you need to have to use it, and how it works. Coming right up. Now, if you've watched any other video of mine, especially recent videos, I always talk about the Van Hemert system and that we're going to use the principles of the system, and then I say, well, I'm not going to explain it in this particular video, but look at that other video. And then I still get questions by people asking me to clarify, and maybe if I have a book explaining it. So I thought I should make a real short video, or short, well, let's say 12 minutes. My goal is 12 minutes to just explain the principles behind it. And I'm going to talk about three things. First thing is I'm going to explain what you need to know to start using the system, which is not a lot. The second thing is I'm going to talk about what the system is and how it works. And then the third thing is that I'll give some examples of how I use it. So let's start with what you need to know to start using it, because that's the reason I came up with it, or the reason I started putting on the stuff on the guitar like I do now in the system. It's because when I started playing guitar, I came from violin, and I noticed that it was very difficult to find the notes on the guitar neck, much more difficult than it is on the violin, for example. And that is because of the way you learn the instrument, right? Violin, you learn, it's probably classical, you learn to read notes and you know all the note names. So with guitar, that's not the way you learn guitar. Then once people tell you, you should get away from these shapes and start learning the individual notes on the neck, you discover that the neck is a really big neck, and then there's this weird string change, and I don't know, it's very difficult to learn all the notes. So I figured, there must be an easier way than to first memorize all the notes and then to learn how to play. Isn't there a trick I could use to skip all of that? And I came up with a simple trick, I think, but it requires you to know some stuff. So what you need to know is the location of the notes on the high E string, and then of course on the low E string, which are the same notes, so that's easy. And with that I mean you should know the note names. So you should know, okay, B flat, D, G sharp, F, right? You should know the notes when you play them, and also the other way around. So when someone says, okay, C sharp, you know where it is. It's easier than you think, because when you learn how to play chords, you have to know the bass notes of those chords, right? You have to know A's here. So you know there's an A there, so then there's also an A there. So the high and low E string, you probably got that covered. Then it would be very helpful to know the note names on the A string, right? D, E, B flat, A. Again, it's pretty easy because you will play many chords with the root on the A string, right? So that's actually the reason I came up with the system, because I already knew those things because of the chords. Now, and then the last thing, that's maybe the most work if you don't know it yet, you should know all the notes in every major and minor triad. So you should know, okay, it's an F major triad, then there's an F, an A, and a C in it. If it's B flat minor, that's a B flat, a D flat, and an F. And that's something you just gotta memorize, all right? There's no trick. You gotta memorize all the major and minor triads. Now, it's not as difficult as you think, because once you know the major triads, then you also know the minor triads, because you just have to flat the third, right? If it's C major, it's C, E, G. So C minor is C, E flat, G. And then the last thing you have to know is you have to know the notes of all the dominant chords. So you just take the major triad and you add a flat seventh, right? So B flat seventh, so you take B flat major triad, B flat D, F, A flat. That's it. That's the only thing you have to know. The location of the notes on the E string, preferably on the A string as well, and then the notes of major and minor triads and of seventh chords. That's all. You don't have to know any scales, any arpeggios, or any of the other notes. I don't know it. I mean, I don't know the note names on the other strings. Of course, I could learn it, but it's not needed to use my system. Okay, so now you know what you should learn first. Then, what is it exactly? The Van Hemert system is dividing up the neck in positions per chord. So, not every chord, just major triads, minor triads, and dominant chords. So let's go to a key. Let's say we're in G, right? So the first position of G is with your first finger on the root of G, right? And because we know the notes on the low and high E string, and we know the notes of the chord, that's easy to find. Here's the first position of G. That's what I call the first position. Now, the third position is, you guessed it, with your first finger on the third of G, right? That's a B. So there's no second position, right? It's the third position. I used to call this the second position, but that was very confusing because then people say, well, second position, so it's with my first finger on the 9. No. First position, third position, and fifth position with your first finger on the roots, the third, and the fifth. That's what I would call the three positions of G, right? The three positions of G minor would be G, B flat, third position, fifth position. So the first and the fifth position are the same, right? Only the third position changes for the minor triad. Now for G7, first, third, fifth, seventh as an F, right? That's how the system works. You find these positions for every chord, or not every chord, major, minor triads, and dominant seventh. Once you know that, and that is not that difficult, if you know the major triads, minor triads, and the location of on the notes on the high and the low E string, this will be automatic, right? Maybe just train your muscle memory to find those locations quickly. Now there's one little thing you could add, or you should add. The first position and the third, or every position, it's fluid in the sense that you could also have your second finger on it, so the first finger shifts one fret down, or it's one fret above, right? So this would be first position of G, but this would also be the first position of G, and this too. Let's take another key. Let's do third position of A flat would be a C, right? So this is the third position of A flat, but this too. This also. Okay, now the thing you need to do to start improvising using the system is you need to find lines you want to play. And how do you find those lines? Well, there's several ways. You could transcribe lines from recordings or videos you like, or you could take a look at my videos. I think I have 200 videos on my channel. All the videos have tons of lines, all tabbed out even. You can download the tab on my Patreon, link below. And then you just, if you use my tab, it already fits in the Van Hemert system. But let's say you find your own line, right? You're describing a 2-5-1 in G, which goes like this: 3, 4. Right, so A minor, D7, G. Right? You transcribe that 2-5-1. We're already at the third part, right? I'm gonna give you some examples. This starts for me in the first position of A minor, right? It's the chord is A minor, and then the line starts, and then I don't have to think about anything else anymore, because the rest of the line is something I practiced. I practiced the picking, I practiced my fingerings. I don't have to know the notes because I just figured out that I have to play it like this, with a slide here, for instance. Skip a string. So I'm not aware of the notes I'm playing right now. Well, I could figure it out, but I'm just playing this line that I practiced in the first position of a minor chord, which fits over a 2-5-1 in G. So I'm not thinking about a D7 anymore in this case, or the G major, because I have this line. Now if I want to play this line in B flat, I know I have to start this specific fingering in the first position of C minor, right? So, right? That's all there's to it. That's the whole Van Hemert system. You have these positions, and then you find lines and you place them in the positions. Now sometimes, so this line starts exactly on that note, but sometimes it starts on another note, but you're still in that position. For example, let's say we have a 2-5-1 in C that goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3, 4, 1. Right? This is in the first position of D, or in the fifth position of D, for D minor, right? This is the fifth position. But it doesn't start on that note, it starts on this note. But again, I have my first finger on this position, and then I could start on any note there, right? I have to memorize where it starts, I have to practice that a lot, of course. But visually, it's very easy for me to see that it's right here. So if I have to play this 2-5-1 in, let's do another key, let's do a completely different key. This was C, so let's do F sharp, right? So G flat. Then this is in the fifth position of A flat, right? So the fifth position of A flat is here, right? So then I have to start here. Now, I told you like it would be helpful to also know the notes on the A string. And that why? Because to be completely honest, the example I just gave is correct, but actually I'm thinking about my positions or the positional system starting on the A string as well. So for this lick, for example, I could think about the third position. Let's go back to D minor. I could think about the fifth position of D, but actually I'm thinking about the first position of D on the A string, which is there, and then this lick is even easier to find. So now you might wonder, okay, if you already have two strings, why not do the positions from all 6 strings? That is because I already knew these notes, right? I didn't add anything else, and also this keeps it very organized for me. I have 2 strings basically to think about, the E and the A string. And then when I find a line, I find the easiest position for me to visualize stuff. So for instance, let's do another 2-5-1 in B flat. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 3, 4. That's it. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this for me is in the second position of C minor, which is an E flat, right? But on the A string. But I go down 1 fret, right? It's fluid. I call that fluid. The position is fluid. Now my line ends, for instance, and now I'm on B flat, and I can see already, okay, I am in the 5th position of B flat on the A string, which is F, and I have another line right there. That's another line, right? So finding these lines quickly, connecting all these positions will take a lot of time, a lot of practice time. But you're always practicing something very musical, right? Because you're transcribing, which is good anyway. And then you're finding fingerings that work. You find picking patterns that work for you. That's also very good to do. And then you work on connecting these phrases. So you're working with music. You try out things, and you work on your musical taste, right? So that's the Van Hemert system is really very focused on music. There's no scales or theory or chords. It's purely like lines. And then people say, well, but if you always play like these lines, it will sound like copy paste. Well, in the beginning, it will sound like copy paste because, right, you have trouble finding a new line and you have to stop and then you have to search for a new line. But after a while, after doing it and repeating those lines hundreds of times, they will start to kind of mingle, become your own. You find little variations, little rhythmical or melodical embellishments that will all come naturally. And for that, you could also just follow my other videos on my channel, and you will see many examples of that. When you see me improvise in the videos, and I always do many courses, I'm not thinking about line number 5 connecting to line number 8. No, I'm just thinking about the positions, and then those lines, they come naturally. Maybe because I played a combination of those lines before, or I just hear it that way, right? People say, but shouldn't you hear the lines before you play them? Yes, I hear them before I play them because I practiced these lines so many times. That's how it works. Is there anything else to say about it? Not really. If you now watch the other videos and you see me explaining something and mentioning the Van Hemert system, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And realize that's the only thing I ever did on the guitar that you could call like studying something theoretical on the fretboard. Nothing else. No scale, no arpeggio. Of course I can play a scale, right? You want me to play a B-flat scale? I play a B-flat scale right here. You know why? Because there's a line, a Django Reinhardt line, that goes like this. Right? So then, of course, I notice, oh, this is a B-flat major scale. I don't even have to notice that, but I noticed it. And now when somebody would ask me for some reason to play a B-flat major scale, I know to go to the first position of B-flat, and then I have this fingering. If I want to play a third scale, I go to the third position of B-flat because I figured out a scale there for some other lick. I want to play a Clifford Brown quote. I know a quote in the first position of a key. Let's say D. There's one here. Oh, that's the Charlie Parker quote, by the way. Let's do a Clifford Brown quote. Let's do this one. It's in the first position of D on the A string. That's how it goes. Okay, I hope this is helpful. This will be the video I will be referring to from now on. Another thing is, please like, subscribe to my channel, and if you watch this video shortly after I published it, next week I will be in the Django Reinhardt Festival in France, in Fontainebleau, Samois-sur-Seine, Saint-Mauro. So if you see me there and you want to ask me a question, please do. I'll be jamming, and if you're not there, then I will see you in the next video when I get back. Bye!